In this video, we're going to take a look at the Mastering Assistant feature in Logic Pro 11. It's a somewhat new feature. It's been out for a little while. So we're going to go through a full tour of this really cool plugin. It's basically a way to do a full master with just one plugin built right into Logic. So if you want something that's ready to be shared with your friends or even ready to be uploaded to any of the streaming services, this is a great way to start. You don't have to pay an external mastering engineer if you just want to do something quick and simple, and it is pretty high quality for what it is. I've got this track here, Passing Ships, that I did a whole Watch Me Mix series on. So if you want to see the whole process of me doing a stage one mix on this whole song, you can check out that series. But what I've done here is I've pulled off all the stuff on the master fader that I put in at the end of that series. And instead of everything that I did, we're just going to use the mastering section here. So let me play you a little bit of what we've got going on here. It's a pretty loud ending section, and then in the verse area, so send this boy away, forsake him a child. It's a fair amount quieter, so it's a pretty dynamic song. So let's take a look at the Mastering Assistant. To enable it, we just need to be on our output channel, and I'm going to come over to mastering, and you'll see it will start analyzing. So it's going to analyze the whole song, and then we'll see what it does, and we'll go through all the controls in here. Creating a mastering chain. You can see it's loading. It loads right up here. I was a little bit too slow to show you, but you see a loading bar up here when it's creating the chain. And then here's what it's come up with. So let's just take a listen to the two sections that I just played, see if they sound a little bit different. Much bigger, more open and clean over there. If we come over to this side, Catholic priests, so send this boy away, forsake him at child peril, there can only be one loser. So it definitely is doing something that I think is helpful. It definitely makes it sound a lot better. So let's go through this. So first of all, what it's doing is it's creating this EQ curve. It's automatically creating this EQ curve that's applying to the entire mix. And then you have the ability to apply none of that EQ curve or really just exaggerate more of that EQ curve. If you want to apply none of it, probably the better thing to do is just turn it off right here. You don't need it. So you can apply a little bit more, a little bit less. I'll play with that a little bit, hear how that sounds. I never knew why we were only passing ships. There you go. So I'll leave this right in the center where it was. A little tip in Logic: if you hold Option and click on something, it generally returns to its neutral position. In this case, it's right in the middle, which is 100%. They're calling 100% of their automatic EQ. You can also switch it over to custom EQ, and you can do your own EQ curve on here if you want to. There are different EQ characters. So what I'm going to do just to demonstrate that is crank this up, and we'll just go through the different characters. So they're subtle, but there are differences. I'm going to leave it right where it's suggesting the transparent character and in the middle here. Now we come over to this area, the dynamic section. We have loudness, and we have true peak, and we have an LUFS meter. So we have a mono meter, a stereo meter, and I'm assuming this is an integrated LUFS integrated meter. And then obviously we have true peak, left and right for stereo. We have this little excite button. So essentially what this is doing is this is just turning up loudness. So it's increasing compression. Cool. So what you saw there is there was no reading on the integrated LUFS, but if you start, because integrated needs to be measured over a certain period of time, so you can start the measurement and then stop the measurement, and you will get an integrated reading, and then you can reset it. Otherwise, you're just getting a mono and stereo LUFS reading right there. You also have the Excite feature, which I think just adds some saturation around the top end. Yeah, it's pretty subtle here. There's a lot going on. It's pretty subtle, but I think that's just adding some saturation around the top end. And then you have, of course, loudness here to turn up the compression. Okay, so the next section is all about stereo. So we can increase or decrease the stereo width, and we get a stereo correlation meter. This refers to phase correlation. So if something is terribly out of phase, it will show us here. But let's take a listen. If I increase the spread here. Like that. And we also have a reanalyze button. I'm also going to juice the loudness up a little bit. Cool. And then we have a bypass button down here, same as the bypass button up here. What's nice about this I'm seeing is if I bypass it from here, I still get my my meters reading signal, which is nice. If I were to bypass this, it turns the entire plugin all the way off. And then this is one of the most special parts of the whole plugin, I think, is the loudness compensation. So what this will do is it will just match the input loudness to the output loudness, so that you can hear just the character of what you've done as opposed to just the loudness of what you've done. So when I play with this button, and then I bypass, you can see the unbypassed sounds way better. But is that just because it's way louder? Well, we can see by turning on loudness compensation. And now when I play, you can hear the unbypassed signal without any change in loudness. So I can hear clearly that the unbypassed signal is just a cleaner sound. So this EQ and some of this loudness pushing that we're doing is definitely helping the openness and the stereo width, all that stuff. So loudness compensation is great. It's doing a really good job of matching the input to output loudness in a really nice, clean, simple way. I definitely recommend using it. One of the best parts of this plugin, I think, is this feature. If we can get better at hearing the changes that we're making on a mastering chain like this, in some context other than just loudness, that's really good, because anything louder is always going to sound better. So if you have this turned on, you can really get down to more the character of the sound. Then when you're ready to bounce the song out and actually deliver it, then you would flip this off and you would actually do the bounce. But yeah, so let's take one more listen here. I'll turn loudness compensation on. We'll listen to this section.
There can only be one loser. I never knew why.
It's before the EQ and the spread.
We're only passing shit.
After. It's cleaner, more open.
In the night.
If I turn this off, we'll hear how much loudness we added.
Ignoring all the other passes by.
Yeah, so give this a try. Check out the Mastering Assistant. You don't really even need a a limiter after this, but you could if you wanted to put on the adaptive limiter or just the regular limiter on after this. You could set this to sorry, I meant the adaptive limiter. This one, and you could set this to soft limiter is a good way to start. Set your out ceiling to like -1 or something. And just turn your gain up. If you wanted to, add a limiter after, you totally could. But if you do this stuff that I showed you in the Mastering Assistant here, with increasing loudness. And just looking at the peak value here, you technically don't even really need a limiter necessarily because it's doing some limiting in here. So good thing to check out, Mastering Assistant in Logic Pro. Have fun with it.